Alright, welcome back everyone. So we are going to be continuing translating the Meteor note management application, which was a Meteor guide that I followed along Traverse Media's tutorial for. We're going to be translating that into Express.js because though they're similar and they are built on the same node foundation, the framework is different, and I am focusing on Express, so I just want to, it's a mental challenge to translate the architecture for Meteor into Express. So I'm just going to get set up here. This is going to be the Meteor test, and this one will be Meteor Express, and we're going to, I think we stay here, but this one we have to go to a specific one, which will be Trav Notes. We're going to start that. Now that is going to be on, I don't know which server it'll be on to start. Port, I mean. Might be 7,000. I think it'll tell us so. I think it's the 3,000, and the one we're working on now is 7,000. Oh yeah, there it is. So it refreshes automatically, and that's all nice. I added some new packages to my Atom editor, so if you see a little bit changes from the previous video, which was, I believe, several days ago. I was busy this week. Now we can start our Express, which is Node.js index, I believe. I did review my previous video just to get caught up on where I was before. So I'm not going to go over that. I recap quite a bit, but it looks like we're set up here. We have notes, and we have welcome to notes. And actually, while I'm at it, why don't I do, let's get rid of Sublime Text, done with that. So we have our welcome to notes. Let's make a new file for that, and there's a reason for that. So this will be, just do h1. Welcome to notes. And what we're going to do is we could have a list here. Can I link them together? Sort of. Not really. Becomes a monster. We can do notes. Okay. List. Doom. Doom. Now, what we're going to do is render that in. Going to render our, this will be our welcome file, our home file with links to all of our directories, and we'll just render in index. Not going to pass anything through. Although I could just pass the links I want, and yeah, why don't I do that? Might as well, right? Since we're doing this, I think we're doing EJS is that for let link of links. Yep, that's JavaScript. And we'll do that. Really do like EJS. I've said it before, but it is consistent. And how do I want the link structure to be? I think I just want the text name. Oh, my foot's already falling asleep. Now here's what I can't remember. Okay, yep. EJS all the way. No brackets or anything. We'll just do text. and link. I'll leave that there, and I will do href. Yes. So now we can do this. For each link of links, we can do our links. It can be an array, which will then be an object, and we'll have href, and we'll have notes, and then we'll have text, and it'll be notes. And that's all we'll have for now. And that should work. We gotta restart. And maybe I'll set up, there's a package that auto reloads the node, Express package, Express.js. We're having that issue. So I did review, so we gotta do strict mode. Use strict. Learned my lesson, I'm not wasting time with the ports this time around. That was frustrating just to review, watching that. Do I need Express in the file as well? I doubt it, but no, I doubt it. Let's read it this time. If the error above is not helpfully made to EJS lint, block scoped declarations not yet supported outside strict mode. Okay, so maybe I do need to declare it in there, which is weird. And I might have to do this. Okay, let's see if that does anything. Yeah, that's weird. Because I'm doing it the same way I did before. Use strict blocked scoped declarations. I don't wonder what I did wrong. Oh, maybe it's because I added that. So maybe EJS just doesn't support that outright. Missing catch or finally after while compiling, huh? Maybe it's because I'm messing up already. But that's how you learn. Missing catch or finally. Maybe I don't even need the strict yet. I don't know what's going on. Okay, let me just see. Index.ejs, unordered list. Oh, I messed up. See? Rewind. I'm already sighing. I was just reviewing the video where I was messing up all of this stuff. Why can't it just say a syntax error? Like regular JavaScript would. Then I would know what to look for. And now it's giving me this issue again. Because I need use strict in here. Yeah, so it's not, I don't need this here. Let me just leave it. Okay, let me not. Block scoped declarations. Okay. Good. So don't need that. Okay. Step in the right direction. Okay. Now we have an error. Reference error. href is not defined. Okay. href should be there. Oh, I see. Okay. We'll do that, and then it'll be link.href, right? Why is that not defined? Oops. Link. Oh my goodness. I took too long of a break. I took much too long of a break. I guarantee I don't need this. Is my guarantee worth anything? Yes. Okay. Sheesh. We click on this, it'll take us to notes. Oops. That's weird. Is it because I added that? Ooh, oh yeah, that's right. I don't need that. That's the whole reason I did that. Okay, it takes us to that. Yep, good. No back button. Doesn't matter. Good, 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 good. Now, I could go on with the UI. Transferring over the UI. Let me just make sure. Is this, yeah, it's recording. I'm sure it's recording my voice too. I wish I could tell. I could continue with the translating the UI over. Why is that hidden? Where is it supposed to be? Whatever. See, it doesn't make sense. Why would it do that? So I could transfer over the UI. But I should set up Mongo. Now Meteor came with Mongo. So we're gonna have to go to Express to find out how to set that up. Unless I could just consult the Mongo, the package for that project. Guarantee it would have been installed. Dependencies, Babel, runtime, Meteor node. No, this is the Meteor test. I want trav notes. Same thing. And we didn't even require that there. So we're gonna have to go to Express to find out what's the best way to set that up. Don't need to know the application. Getting started, advanced topics, resources maybe? Middleware could be. Servers, no. You know what? Mongo might be a standalone thing. Database integration, how about that? Oh, you can do MySQL. Yeah, but I'm kind of liking Mongo more and more. MongoDB. Example, does it come included? Probably does. Mongo client require Mongo. See, that's weird. This is where Meteor really shines. It just makes a bit more sense. It just looks better. Where is it? I want to show it. That would be on the server collections. Yep, there it is, Mongo. Meteor/Mongo. Just import it just like that. I do like the require because that seems to be standard for Node instead of building your own syntax. Okay, so let me install it then. npm install npm, I think it's just save. npm install MongoDB save. Good. Nano package. Good. So now we can set it up with... I looked up the other day how to get a transparent editor, and it just all in all seems to be a bad idea because it increases the memory usage. Require Mongo connect, Mongo localhost. If you want an object model driver, look at Mongoose. Mongo client connect function error database if error, throw error. So that's pulling in those values from, that's a callback, pulling in values, just like an event callback would pull in the event using the this. Looks like it has a default, I'm not sure. If error, throw error. Otherwise, DB collection mammals, find to array. Okay, regular database. So this is same syntax, same objects methods as Meteor, which we can look at with this one. So a little bit different actually. Meteor, yeah, it is a bit different because it's kept under Meteor for some reason. Yeah, here's the new Mongo collections notes. Yeah, it's a bit different because it's like Meteor has a Mongo class for the Mongo database, unless these are actually different. Alright, so let's get that set up. And where do I want that? I want that on the notes page, but I'm not doing it there. I'm doing it in the router for it here. So let's do a constant. Mongo client equals require double quotes MongoDB Mongo client. I wonder if that's necessary. And find to array function error result. If error, throw error, otherwise console log the result. So I wonder if I can do that in here. Yeah, I can. Mongo client connect. Mongoose. I probably did. What's going on? Because with Meteor, I think I would just do Meteor Mongo. Oh, really? This command only works while Meteor is running your application locally. So I'd have to do this. Okay, see, that's how you connect through Mongo through Meteor. MongoDB. This is Mongoose. Man, Mongo. Okay. Maybe I have to do npm Mongo. No. Alright, let's read the Mongo manual. An interactive JavaScript shell interface to MongoDB. Mongo shell, username, etc., etc. I don't remember if I had to set it up in Meteor, unless Meteor does that by default. If you want an object model driver, look at Mongoose. We'll just save that there. This is the module. This is their documentation. For Node.js, live on top of that, which is meant for front-end users. MongoDB core is a low-level part of the higher Mongo. Yeah. Our helpers outside of basic management topology. Okay, maybe that's what I want. Oh, also in the previous video, I think it was getting late. It was like 11. So I was slowing down later on, I think. Let's create a directory where our application will live. Okay. You're still using Express, right? Yeah. Booting up the server. That's what I want to know. Let's boot up a MongoDB server instance. Open a new shell or command and ensure MongoDB command is in the shell or command line path. Now let's create a database directory. This is much uglier than Meteor. Okay, so this is showing how you can connect. Starting to look a lot like MySQL, to be honest. The problem is this is focusing only on the server side, so I don't really need to do all of these tests too much. And I can already, it's the same as Meteor. I already looked at the help. Meteor did not abstract too much on the actual methods for Mongo. Let me see what they have to say about regular MongoDB. No, oops, I have to go back. This will be a new tab, and this will be MongoDB. Let's go to their documentation. Okay. So this is friend-end package documentation, and this is the actual MongoDB server. I'm gonna admit I don't know what a driver is. Looks like it's just the interface language. I'm gonna go to the server. I installed it. I'm gonna go to the shell. Mongo shell is an interactive, we already read that. To query and update data is a compliant. I have installed started MongoDB. Connect the MongoDB to your running instance. Start the Mongo shell. To start the Mongo shell and connect to your instance running on localhost with the default port, add a prompt in terminal window, go to your installation directory and type bin mongo. Okay. This is the Meteor one. We want to, oops, maybe it wasn't. Oh, it was Meteor Express. Okay, so we now want to do \bin. Okay. ls all to there. It's not letting me in there. Maybe it's just meant for commands. Bin Mongo. Yeah, it's not there. If you have added the Mongo installation directory bin to the path environment variable, you can just type Mongo instead of, yeah. I don't think. Mongo is an interactors, blah blah blah. Getting started. Oh, what? That's all I had to do. Connecting to test. Show databases. I don't know how to show. Okay. Show DBs. Okay, that's all you had to do. Alrighty. So it is the same. See, show DBs. They just got a lot more stuff going on up here. Alright, my bad. let's keep that open. And go back to maybe this, because we're concerned with Express right now. Primarily we're concerned with this. Let's go to show. We have to use something first. Admin is empty. Let's check out local show collections, system indices. Alright. What I did before was I made a Meteor database. Now I'm going to do an Express. So to create databases with Mongo, you just type use. Kind of like in the terminal. You can create files by using touch. Change file timestamps, but it also creates files, and I don't think it moves them. But you can also just do nano file name, like so, and it'll save it to there. So it's kind of like recursive or functional, where if the target's not selected, it'll just create it. So I'm not sure what it's called, but it's a way to handle errors. You know, if the worst case scenario, you give a fail. Otherwise, you just work with what you got. So we're going to use Express, and that will not actually create it yet. It'll only create it if it stores data. So then we're going to do db create collection, and we'll just do notes. Okay, created the collection. That should be all we have in there. Okay, that just shows an indices there. So I think I'll add them manually for now, because that's what we did before, until we replicate that. So we can then do our notation, and this is something I think I went over when I was following his tutorial. Because it's JavaScript, you can do, actually we're going to do this notation. You can do bracket or dot notation, and we do the insert method on the collection, and we'll insert our objects. I'm not going to manage IDs, we're just going to do href. I'm sorry, we're doing notes. So I will do the IDs. And actually I'll do my own ID. I will let Mongo handle the default ID property. I guess I'll do lowercase. Text, and we'll do note number 1 just to start. Inserted, note number 2, note number 3. That'll be a good start. Now we can go to here and get set up. We're going to connect, double quotes, MongoDB, localhost. I don't think the port is right because I changed it. Shouldn't the port be... Yeah, it should be the port I'm setting it to. And we're doing 7,000. Yeah, it's just using the URI. Notes. Creating a router. Error. DB.
You recording?
Mm-hmm. And this is where we'll do our stuff. Keep that separate. Is that a different syntax? I'm not used to that. If error, throw error. Probably is. But I can just do... I've noticed that you don't save... you don't save characters if you do the ternary operators as much. Actually, you can't even throw errors in ternary operator, I think. But now I'm curious about this syntax. NDN JavaScript if statement. I want to know about that. If else. Because the purpose of this is just to go over to understand how it works, to see how this works. This is how it would look if the nesting were properly indented. Can be nested to create a clause that if there is no else if in one word keyword. Right, there's no. That's PHP does that. Do not confuse the primitive Boolean values true false with truthiness or falsiness of the Boolean object. Any value that is not false or the empty string of an object included Boolean. So I just have to indent it, it looks like. I'm going to test that. Oops. Cool. So it's kind of like arrow function. Actually, maybe that's when it was. Maybe it was released recently. I just didn't know about it. All right, we'll do that. I'm gonna keep it like that. No, I won't. I'll do that. All right, throw error. Now DB collection. Should be able to do this. Notes. Find. To array. I haven't done that before. Oh, I see. That gives you one whole collection. Okay. Whereas that's kind of like when you get your result in MySQL, you get the whole result collection. Whereas if you do just the result for each row, you can iterate through that row. And I think that's what we'll stick to for now. And in the client side, you do need to pass through an empty object. It will throw an error otherwise. And also allows you to do a callback. So to array callback function. No, I'm not going to do that. But I am going to reference the other project to see how I stored it. Oh, I just stored the collection. And then I iterated through that. I see. That's right. And then in the main.js file, I used that collection. Yep, notes from libcollections because I exported. Right. Notes by default on the helper. Return notes find. Okay. I'll do that then. Yep, that's what we'll do. And I wonder if I should do that under there. Yeah. I probably should. I'm going to do that. So we'll create, should I create a library or a server? What's the difference? He did not explain that. So we'll do that. New folder, lib, new file, collections. We will now here's a question. Did he include the Mongo module in the main file if you are going to just import the collections? Why am I not finding it? Collections main.js. No, he did not. we're just including notes from collections, and then that's doing the Mongo. And also check. We did that later on though. So you go here, and is export, I want to know, is that an express keyword or is that a Meteor keyword? Serving static files, don't need to know that. Using templates, we went over that. So now we're back to here. API reference is what we want. And this would be under application. Or we would be under express. Can I search? Oh, you know what? It's probably just a node thing. Yeah. So we can now export the constant notes. We'll do the same thing. Constant notes equals this. Actually, that's what we'll do. We'll do it inside here, because this has to connect first, unlike with Meteor. It doesn't seem to need to do that, right? Yeah, it just imports it and creates a collection. So if error, throw error, otherwise export constant notes, which is equal to this. Voila. And Mongo collection notes. Yeah, the Meteor made their whole class thing, it seems, unless they got that from somewhere else. DB notes collection find. See, that's what we're not going to do. That should work. Express notes. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Help. Okay. Let's exit. Let's boot it up, which would be npm, no, Node.js index. Server is started. Maybe I did that too early, because I need to save. Oops. Get rid of that. Alrighty. And now we're going to require. I don't know if import is a Meteor thing as well. I mean the import file. Yeah, it is actually, so we're just going to require notes. Lib collections. Yeah, I should include the file extension, because I think it's not a package or module, but I can always test after this. And now, now I can create a method that just does that. No, I'm not, because that's something else. Because this is our template file. Because Meteor works a little bit differently. And you can create templates and all that with helpers. We're not going to do that. What we're going to do is just keep it here. Now, we're just going to pass that through. That's what we're going to do. So, keep that there. Copy it over. Comment it out. Going to close this and say for, oh, I'm in the wrong one. What am I doing? Notes. my bad. Oops, comment that out. And we will do notes equals notes, exporting capital notes. And let's see what that does. Throw error. Can't find module. Maybe I don't need the extension. Should I import? No, that's not how it works. Export. Is that not allowed? Why not? Unexpected reserved word. Yeah, why is that not allowed? Maybe I should just set it. Oh, you know what? I think their syntax is a bit different. Okay, you need to be down here. You're a separate project. And I don't have any examples of exporting with this. So let's reference Express. Which I doubt is gonna have it. Oh, I already have the thing pulled up. Path, no thanks. Exports. Oops. Maybe modules. In the Node.js module system, each file is treated as a separate module. For example, consider a file named foo. What about it? On the first line, loads a module circle.js in the same directory. Here are the contents. Exports area. Aha. Meteor did change it a little bit. They don't need to export properties and objects and all that. Maybe I should put constant exports. Exports notes equals DB collection. And server was started, yet connection 0 to localhost 7000 closed. Alright. Can I do constant? I just want to know. That'd be nice to not have it change. Nope. I'll leave that for Express to deal with. Now we're having a connection problem down in our collection file. I have a suspicion that something I wrote was wrong. Connect MongoDB. I have a feeling that's not right. Let's try this. 27017. Nope. Okay, now it's time to find out how to connect properly with Mongo. But we want to do that in Express. Okay, we might have to go to Express. Native Node.js driver. I had that open. And that's what they mean for the front end. Create the package JSON file, booting up a server. Yeah, I already did that. Connecting, let's create this and show the basic operations. MongoDB core. What about client, huh? MongoDB, Mongo client. Or how to connect in a new and better way. Same thing. Okay. Create a new Mongo client instance with the class using a URL as documented. You're not really showing me how to use your technology here. DB equals require MongoDB.db. Mongo client require MongoDB.Mongo client. Server require server. The basic example using the Mongo client to connect using a server instance similar to existing DB version. Set up the connection to the local DB. Mongo client equals new Mongo client. Because the Mongo client is now storing the Mongo client. Mongo client connect. We didn't do that. Mongo client equals new Mongo client. New server. Localhost, blah blah blah. Native parser true. Open a connection to the server. Mongo client open. Function error Mongo client callback. On a successful open connection, get the first DB and do an update document on it. MongoDB integration tests. Oh my goodness. It's just, I don't trust it too much. That's what I'm saying. I'm not completely thrown off. I'm just finding which information I can trust. I know I tinker a lot, but hey, it was like Thomas said, I didn't find 1,000 ways to fail. I found 1,000 ways to do it right, or something like that. And because by failure you learn what's true. But just because someone tells you something doesn't make it true. A lot of time when I write stuff down, I don't even know the best way to put it. So I could say something I'm trying to say something that's true, ends up being false. Let's try this. It looks ugly as heck, but ugly as sin. Let's say that. Ugly as sin. That looks awful. A single server connection is what we want. We have our Mongo client connect example here. I don't know why it's 27017. Maybe I can find out. Connection, connect. URI decode authentication. Decode the username and password for authentication. Yeah, URL arguments. Doesn't really describe how specific this URI string has to be. But see, the ports do change, so I'm going to keep it at 7,000 because that's what we're doing. Integration tests, we are doing notes. Now we need to add this. Native parser, sure. Let's just see where that gets us. Our callback function, we're going to keep that the same. We have our throw error, assert equal. I don't think that matters. DB collection, Mongo client test. Okay, maybe this should be our database, which would be Express. Can't tell if this is a router or our way of connecting to the database. DB notes. Okay, if this returns nothing, DB close, then I'm going to say I should just return the find collection, the results, all the objects in that collection, to the next file. Constant. Where's the constant? I thought I got rid of that. Constant Mongo client. Okay, pure base on. I don't have that, I don't think. Require pure is not a function. Exactly, why did you do that? Mongo? It's not a function? What kind of crap are you trying to pull? Simple URL connection string for a single server connection. I think you got a problem when you have so many abstractions and interfaces. Do I need all of this? Let's just find out what I don't need. Server started, and then we're getting an error. There's a problem with the collection. It's a Mongo network error, connection 0 to localhost 7000. Well, that's what we're listening for. Let's check out the quick start. Yeah, I know all that. I want to do this in the Express. MongoDB operations. No, I just want documentation. Using a database. What is the best way to interact with a database? Using the database's native query language, use an object data model. What ORM ODM should I use? There are many solutions available on the npm package site. Check them out. Mongoose is a MongoDB object modeling tool designed to work in an asynchronous environment. Waterline is an ORM extracted from the Express-based Sales Web Framework. It provides a uniform API for accessing numerous different databases. As a general rule, you should consider both the features provided and the community activity when selecting a solution. At times of writing Mongoose is by far the most popular object relational model, and is a reasonable choice if you're using MongoDB. Using Mongoose and MongoDB for the local library. Before you jump in and start coding the models, it's worth taking a few minutes to think about. I already know that. We know we need to store information about books. Yeah. When designing models, it makes sense to have separate models for every object. Group of related information. In this case, the obvious objects are books, book instances, and authors. You might also want to use models to represent selection list options, like a drop-down list of choices. True. That's one of the things I was starting to learn in a private project on PHP and MySQL, is building very specific queries from the MySQL database. I didn't quite get there yet. I actually just might make it a Node.js project. I'm not sure yet. I really want to know just how to get set up, and maybe I should be using a driver instead, or a model, because Mongo's so lunatic with this right now. Defining schemas. You know what? We gave Meteor, the most popular framework, a shot. Let's give Mongoose a shot. Yeah, I've seen people create schemas before too. Although they kind of use the terminology as if it's a thing in itself. This is like, hey, let's create a schema. You should be saying, let's define our collection structure, our Mongo collection structure, because a schema in itself isn't a thing. It's not like you say, hey, let's create a for loop, which is consistent among several languages. Alright, package. Let's just do it this way. npm install mongoose save. Cool. There it is. Got our Mongoose, MongoDB. Let's start from scratch with this. Let's get rid of this for now. How about this? This will be our defaults. This will be requires for libraries and etc. extra stuff there. Let's get rid of this for now. I still wanna have that visible. Defining and creating models. Mongoose requires a connection to a MongoDB database. You can require and connect to a locally hosted database with Mongoose Connect. So let's do that. Actually, no, let's do that in here. Constant mongoose equals require mongoose. It's kind of weird that you don't need to define like the framework path like you do with Meteor. Maybe it's like a control, like kind of like using constants to make sure you're using the Meteor package. set up a default connection, constant Mongo. If the connection changes, might be a problem if it's a constant. Equals Mongo, here's this again, localhost, express. Hope it works this time. Mongoose connect, MongoDB, Mongoose promise, global promise. Okay, let db equal Mongoose connection. Okay, let's just read through the comments and see why we're doing this. Import the module. Set up a connection. So we're storing the connection separately, and then don't really need to do that, I don't think, because the MongoDB doesn't show up later on. MongoDB, yep. It does show up down there, but we're not using the path. Mongoose connect to here. Get Mongoose to use the global promise library. Am I gonna have to start looking at methods now, like I did before? Get the default connection. Okay. Oh, that makes sense. Sort of. Bind connection to error event to get notification of connection errors. Okay. Let's just do this. Localhost express. I want these to be separate. Alrighty. We're connected. You can get the default connection object with Mongoose connection. Once connected, the open event is fired on that instance. Defining and creating models are defined using the Schema interface, which allows you to define the fields stored in each document, or what you mean by object of the collection, along with their validation requirements. In addition, you can define static and instance helper. Why not just use MySQL at this point? Anyway, code fragment below shows how you might define a simple schema. First, you require Mongoose, and then use a schema. So this will be separate from library, I think. Maybe we should make a separate folder. Model view controller views chunk. New file. Notes.js. What are we doing here? Requiring Mongoose. Why would you name it differently? Also, I don't like this. Why is he doing it this way? And it's inconsistent too. Import Mongoose. Why would you name that differently? I don't get it. Define a schema. Define the schema. Creating a model. Models are created from schemas using the Mongoose. Creating a model, defining schemas. In the case above, we just have two fields, a string and a date. Gotcha. Well, a string and a date. Yeah, why? We have a string and a integer or a number. number, which is the ID. So that'll go first. And we have a string. Good. Some model schema equals a new schema. What do I do with this then? Creating a model. Models are created from the schemas using the Mongoose model method. So variable schema equals Mongoose schema, some model schema equals the... Yeah, that should all be the same. I'll just add this below. Compile model from schema. Some model. You don't need to say this. Some schema, some model, schema. That makes sense. It's very consistent. It flows well. Some schema. Some model. Mongoose model, some schema. What does this do now? The first argument is the singular name of the collection that will be created for your model. Okay, we'll start from scratch. It's going to create it. It says so we'll do express. Yeah, we'll just do that. Some model will be our express, and some schema will be notes. I'm gonna create a new schema, notes, note schema. I guess we should do the naming convention they have going on here. Sure. Shouldn't this be capital? Oops. Okay, first argument is a singular name for the collection that will be created for your model. Mongoose will create the database collection for the above model, some model. And the second argument is the schema you want to use in creating that model. With your schema is a collection of objects. That's a special class. Probably has some extra properties in there. Once you've defined your model classes, you can use them to create, update, or delete records. Schema types. Well, how do I use them? That's what I want to know. Schema types of fields. I figured that out. A schema can have an arbitrary number of fields. Each one represents a field in the documents stored. An example schema showing many of the common field types and how they are declared is shown below. A name, string, binary. Well, I don't need that stupid name. Text ID. Okay. I wonder if they have to match. They probably do. They have to match the fields of the thing already in there. I wonder if I should delete the database I made. Name, binary, living, updated, type, date, default date now. After type, or after are self-explanatory. Yep. I can always reference this again. Using models. Once you've created a schema, you can use it to create models, which we just did. The model represents a collection of documents. Okay, stop saying that. The model's instances represent individual documents that you can save and retrieve. I keep calling them documents. I don't know why. We provide a brief overview below. For more information, see models. You're going to make me have to see models. Creating and modifying documents. To create a record, they're abstracting this so much that you have to. I guarantee if I go to here, they're going to use different keywords than they're using in here. To create a record, you can define an instance of the model and then call save. The examples below assume some model is a model that we have created from our schema. You could have just said the example below assume that some model exists. Create an instance of model some model. Okay. So that's how you insert it into the database, into the model. Save the new model instance, passing a callback. I'm going to reword this for you. To insert object into your collection, you can call or declare an instance of the model class that you created and then use the save method. The example below will assume that the submodel class we created above is a model that we created using our schema. That is, we have created a schema. We already added a schema into this model. So we're creating we're declaring an instance of the submodel class with the collection or the object that we want to add to our collection. You can save. So this is the instance we're creating. You can add it to the collection by using the save method with a function callback. If an error exists or occurs, we'll return the handle error with the error message. Otherwise, you can assume it was saved. Insertion of objects along with updates, deletes, and queries are asynchronous operations. You supply a callback. I just said that. Yeah. If the API returns some result, this will be provided as the second argument. You can also use create to define the model instance at the same time as you save it. Okay. Maybe you should have started with that. Just saying. Every model has an associated connection. This will be the default connection when you use Mongo.model. That's the connection we created here, I think. Is that right? Did I change that? I changed that. Oh, no. Okay, that's how Mongoose does it then. You create a new connection. You create a new connection and call a model on it to create the documents or the objects in a different database. So, models are connection specific. Or that is, the models that you create are stored under a connection, a specific connection. You can access the fields in this record using the dot notation syntax. It's dot notation syntax. And change the values you have to call, and change the values you have. You have to call save or update to store modified values back to the database. So save and update are better used in updating records, whereas create is better when you're inserting. The example below, slightly modified from, shows how you can specify some of the validator types in error messages. Yeah, I think well, you don't need to use a server database to try this out. In the root of your project, and copy the following text below where you can declare express application object. Just call it express class. After the line variable, replace the database URL string with your own database, with the location URL representing your own database. I use the information from MLab. Okay. Where does it say that? Insert your database here. Of course. We'll define a separate module for each model. Right, so one model per file. Start by creating a folder for our models. Okay. Author book instance. Okay, I think I followed this. Got our schema. But how do we export it? That's what I want to know. Oh, so the above were just examples. Module exports. Did I do that right? I did exports before. And that was the no-no. I'm gonna just check my test folder, because I think I did this before. Recently used, I think I have MongoDB is what I want. And the code, because I have test files that use the Facebook Jest API, and I just want to reference that because I was supposed to use exports, module exports. Okay, I did that wrong before. I wonder if that's why. Oh my gosh, it gave me the wrong, it said exports, not module exports. That MongoDB documentation was wacky. Okay. Anyway, so we're creating that connection in our root file. So this here is supposed to be here. Can't I just require it though? That would be really nice if I could. Constant. I mean, it's probably missing the point. I have to create the connection in there. DB Mongoose connection. Okay, let's look at our values here. Constant. We really don't need this to be stored separately. Let's just do that. We don't need to explain what's going on here. We're connecting. Get Mongoose to use the global promise library. Share global with Mongoose. I started doing all cap documentation or comments before, and actually my file's in here. And it actually is a bit more readable when I do that, I find. It's a bit more urgent too. Like if I have fail cases, it just distinguishes it from regular code. Get the stored default connection. Less words, less syllables. Constant. I'm going to capitalize Mongoose. I don't, is this an Express thing? So yeah, Express has lowercases. Meteor likes to have uppercases for their class names, except for that. But that's what tutorial, that's what we did in the tutorial. Mongoose lowercase, Express path, okay. Store default connection. Bind connection to error event to get notification of connection errors. Of course. Bind connection to event. Good. Database on. That's a custom method. I can make my own error event, I bet. On error console log. It's a callback. I'd rather just do this. It's more consistent. Let's see if that gives me an error though. Okay, yeah, I accidentally deleted it. Function. Okay. MongoDB connection error. I'm sure that'll be fine. It's a callback after all. We've got all our lowercase stuff set up. Can I require this file now? I'm going to do a tree rename. I might move this to the server. I don't have a server. You know what? Here's what we'll do. Just to follow along. Oops. We will add this here. Oh, crud. And alrighty. Require module. Create connection. Store default connection. Good. Require Express module. Mongoose module. Require path module. Instantiate Express class. Nah, it's not a class, it's just instantiating Express. Instantiate express. Good. Alrighty. And now, this is my thing here. Not importing. That's absolute nonsense. We're requiring require Mongoose module. Define Mongoose collection schema. Nope. See, that's how you do it. This is see how it's now, the terminology is better. We are defining a Mongoose module specific collection schema. Not just a schema, you know? That you have, and it looks fine, you know? Not too many words. Actually, we're not even defining it. We're declaring it. Yeah, because that's what we've been saying all along, right? Instantiating express. Yeah, that's what we're doing. We're retrieving the schema class from the Mongoose module, and down here is what when we're doing that. Declare. No, we're not even declaring it. I think we're defining it. Define Mongoose collection schema. We don't even need to say Mongoose anymore. We're just defining a collection schema because we know we're getting the collection, the class, the schema class from Mongoose here. Declare. Yeah, we're declaring it. What do we say here? Store default connection, create connection, bind connection. So let's say store. Store Mongoose collection. No. Store Mongoose collection schema class. Yep. Now we're going to define. Nope. No, we're not. Declare collection. Declare schema. Define new collection. Yep. That's what we'll do. Okay, compile model from the schema. Not necessarily what we're doing. Create MongoDB collection. With schema. That's what it says it does. It says it creates the collection when we do that. Tree view remove. Yep, it's trash. Now let's see if I broke everything. I'm not expecting it to work. I just want to see if it can load at all. That loads. This loads. Okay. Where was I at? Oh gosh, nope. We were here. I'm making fun of MDN, but they really are great. You can see how it's working too. This creates a default connection to the database and binds area. Defining the local library schema. We will define a separate module for each model. Basically, we're defining our models and schematics locally in our project directory. We will define separate module for each model. That's because each model makes up a single file, and that file is treated as a module. Don't get ahead of yourself. Start by creating a folder for our models. Did that, and then create separate files for each of our models. Copy the author schema code shown below and paste it into your model's author.js file. The schema defines an author as having string schema types for the first and family names. You're kind of tripping over your words here. That are required and have a maximum of 100 characters. Oh, cool. So you can pass arguments in there. So by default, the first argument passed is just going to be the type by default. If you pass in a single parameter. If you pass in an object arguments, then you can assign these like that. I would assume what required would be the default, but I guess not, because actually their example earlier on, after they created their schema, it actually excluded the other one. I'm not going to go back up to it, but you can just rewind. Virtual for author's full name. The terminology is awful. We've also declared a virtual for the author schema in the URL. So we have yet to really see what this looks like, what all of this ends up looking like in the collection. And that's the problem. So we don't really know why or what we're doing, and there's been a lot of setup so far. You know what? I'm gonna check. I have to type Mongo while it's active, right? Has to be open. Show DBs, use express, show collections, DB notes find. Nothing has changed there. Okay. Virtual URL get. Okay. Oh, I see what they're saying. So instead of like creating a route, it seems. So this is in our index.js file, I think. No, this is the model. Okay. What have we changed? We already went over how to set up a schema, require module, store the schema class, which you shouldn't need to do. You can just do new Mongoose .notation schema. They're making this a bit more complicated than it needs to be. Why are they doing that? Because you never reuse schema later on here. You don't need to store it. It doesn't, I don't think you're even going to export it. And you don't need to do that for every file. They're using variables, author schema, new schema class, blah blah blah, virtual for author's full name. So on the schema we created, we're going to use the virtual method name get function. Oh, okay, interesting. So it's kind of like app.set, where we're creating a method. This is the virtual is creating a method, right? But we're kind of like binding the get method as well, and we're going to return this dot family name plus this dot first name. So it's like last name, first name is how you would see an author. The better term to use for this, not that this is important, is actually surname. And I've done some project examples for this already. A maiden name is for the women, because normally they would be considered maidens and before they get married, and after they get married they usually take on the husband's last name. So the maiden's name is the woman's previous family name, but it's actually not impossible for the guy to also take on the female's name. And so the maiden name actually does not refer to the guy, it just refers contextually to the woman's previous family name. But technically family names are better understood as surnames. Family name that's not like an official term. So you have your first name, middle name, surname, maiden name for women. So I created a relational database, just a model, and I used surname. And family name would be the taken name, I imagine. So if you had a woman or a girl or a guy, right, they have their surname, which is the family name they were born to. And then you would use family name probably for the new taken name, unless it's vice versa. Maybe I don't know about this, but you would use them interchangeably, or non-interchangeably like that. So we're creating, why do you call it virtuals? You're just creating special methods. You're actually creating helpers. In the context of Meteor, you'd be creating helpers for these collections, for this database. Return catalog author plus this ID. Mongoose model author schema. Oh, I see. So then, because we're exporting this as a model, almost like the collection that we do here, right here. So this is kind of like doing this. And that's cool. We've also declared a virtual for the author schema named URL that returns the absolute URL required to get a particular instance of the model. We'll use the property in our templates whenever we get a link to a particular author. Yeah, that's very fancy. Virtual properties are document properties that you can get and set, but that do not get persisted to MongoDB. The getters are useful for formatting or combining fields, while setters are useful for decomposing a single value into multiple values for storage. The example in the documentation constructs a full name virtual property from a first and last name field, which is easier and cleaner than constructing a full name every time one is used in a template. Okay, let's continue then. So where's my I want to get started with that notes.js. I don't know how to implement that necessarily yet. I guess I will copy it in there. You know what I'll do? I will do this. For information on creating virtuals. Okay, so what we're gonna do is learn how to use it. Oh, okay. That's a model. Genre model challenge. Genre model challenge. Create some items. That's it. We now have our model set up for the site setup. In order to test the models and create some example books we can use in our next articles, we'll now run an independent script to create items of each type. Download or create the file populated db.js inside your Express. Yeah, whatever. You don't need to know how it works. It just adds sample data into the database. Okay, that's kind of cool. Enter the following commands in a project root to install the module and add it to the package.json file. You could have just said that. Wait, async. What's async? It probably just comes with it. Run the script using node in your command prompt, passing in the URL of your MongoDB database. The same one you replaced the insert your database URL inside the app.js. Okay. I'm going to do this then. I think that's better. I thought it was literal, like arbitrary, I mean non-arbitrary, like it was relative. You should still stone out. But I guess it's arbitrary. It's just like a router. This is a connection router. Just like down here we have the page routers. But we'll see if there's any hint of truth to that. Okay, let's install it. npm install async save. And there is a concern to the Node package manager and Node.js entirely with security, because there's a nature to it where your dependency injection can really skyrocket, and you could come to the point where populate DB. You could really be installing keyloggers or viruses or just unsecure stuff, unsafe code, because it's impossible to check the stuff. You can get up to thousands of dependencies in some projects. Should be a string. MongoDB localhost DB Express. Program node is not installed. Can I do Node.js? Throw error. Node.js is probably trying to start it. Man node. Sudo apt install node. Oops, I did that wrong. Maybe I can do npm. Maybe I need to just install Node. I'm gonna pause while I install Node. Okay, I'm not gonna waste time on the populate package. I already have some values in there. I'm actually just gonna do this. I deleted them, but I can always add them back. So where were we at? We're requiring Mongoose into here. Okay. and do that. Looks good. Alrighty. Constant notes. Yeah, that was a no-no. Set app view engine. Yes. Now, what's the proper way for? I guess we just require it. Maybe I should go to the virtual now. Virtual properties are their document properties that you can get and set, but they do not get persisted to MongoDB. The getters are useful for formatting or combining fields, while setters are useful for decomposing a single value into multiple values for storage. The example in the documentation constructs and deconstructs a full name virtual property from a first and last name field, which is easier and cleaner than constructing a full name every time one is used in a template. We will use a virtual property in the library to define a unique URL for each model record using a path and the record's ID value. Okay. I'm just going to say that you require it. And it creates this. Yeah, it creates that model. That's what I'm going to say it does. So, where were we at here? I'm going to say, yeah, we require. So we're going to do a constant, I think. And we're going to do notes. And we should be, yeah, that's ugly. Yeah, we're not doing that collection. That's not right. Yeah, I didn't understand what they were talking about before. So we can do, I guess we'll just do notes, just to stay safe. Let's fix this up a bit. Do a new note. Note schema. I'm okay with that. That makes a lot more sense. And we'll do this. Note schema. Bravo. Alrighty. And again, we are going to... This is wrong. What did I have before that? Yeah. Module exports. Module exports Mongoose model. I wonder, I've probably been recording for at least an hour and a half. But we're getting there, I think. Acquire. This did work before. What did I type? I forget what I typed. It was in the other project though. Lib collection. Okay. Model notes.js. Okay. I'm gonna exit. We're going to restart this. No errors. We can load that. Cannot load that. Cannot find module model notes.js. I think we need to do the dot. Okay. Now we gotta pass these through. And oh, I must have undid all this because I had it commented out. Our notes is going to instead be notes. Here, no space there. Notes dot find all, and we will comment this out now. Now let's restart. Okay, no errors yet except for this. For a note of notes, undefined is not a function. Okay, maybe I should just do that then. Now what? Still same thing. Well, I'm gonna do a console.log then. Console.log notes to see what I'm getting. Okay. Oh, interesting. Yes, do tell me what happened. Okay, we got our model. It's a function. It's got some hooks. The base Mongoose. Model name notes. Model DB. Do I need to do the DB find method? Oh, that's probably what I did wrong. Okay. Let's keep looking. Okay. Yeah. So all the regular stuff is there. Maybe I should try that. Console.log notes.db.find. Let's see what I get now. Reload the page. It's not a function. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I did that right. It said DB was a method. Or a property, I mean. Unless they did not add it. Maybe it's not. Query. Okay then. Maybe it would be helpful now to open up the Mongoose documentation. Don't need you. Mongoose you. You is what I need. Importing. Using Node.js to require using ES6 imports. Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. ES6 allows imports, I think. Okay. So Meteor didn't make that up. This is the Node.js way of doing it, though. Meteor's a rebel. They don't like Express. They do it their own way. Or Node.js. Defining a model. Yes. Following examples show some of these features. A new schematic. You can do a set. Middleware. Accessing a model. Once we define a model through this, we can access it through the same function. My model equals Mongoose model name. Is that my mistake? What did I do? Well, I'm exporting the model. Mongoose model notes. I'm exporting that, right? So Mongoose. Or just do it all at once. I don't know what that means. The first argument is the singular name of the collection your model is for. Mongoose automatically looks for the plural version of your model name. If you use ticket, then Mongoose will create the model for your tickets collection, not your ticket collection. Once we have our model, we can instantiate it and then save it. Oh. Instance.my.key equals hello instance.save, or we can find documents from the same collection. Maybe that was my mistake. Was my model a method? Collection, native collection, schema. Okay, let me give that a shot. They're not really doing all too well to explain how you actually implement this. Oh, I see. It's a new instance of it. So I'm requiring notes. Should I make a capital? Yeah, I should make a capital. Notes, right? So I'm requiring notes into constant notes. Oops. Okay. Which is the same as this. And then what I want to do is create a new instance of notes. Let model equal new notes, right? That's what they're saying. No, I should do instance equals a new notes. Instance.myKey. What I want to do is get the records, so we'll do a find function, callback documents for each. Instance.find the object and then our function callback. We don't need, maybe we do need to do this, because you never know when it's requiring those variables. I've seen the docs used before. Oh yeah, that's the default callback. This is the, yeah, this is the default callback for Mongo. Okay. Server started. I think I removed all my boo-boos. Instance.find is not a function. It should be. If you opened a separate connection using Mongoose create connection, but attempt to access the model through Mongoose model, it will not work as expected since it is not hooked up to an active database connection. In this case, access your model through your connection you created. Connection equals Mongoose create connection. Did I do that? I just connected. Ooh, maybe I should just do that. Maybe I'm doing all this wrong. Console.log db. Oh, I see. So I can still do that. Sort of. Are they still talking about the model file? Well, I did console log my models. Notes. Hooks base model DB circular. DB models. Okay. Native connection, base models, promise. Models, well, it says notes, so I can access notes, right? And then maybe I can do find from there. Maybe. Oops. Where's the... Here's the query. Okay. So, creating a new instance. I feel like there's a problem with that because of the connection issue. New instance of my model. So I really want to do is create a new instance of notes. New notes is what I want to do. There, it has the ID. What do I do after that? Can I just find? That's what it says I can do. Except for that. Constant. What are they doing? They're doing constant. Instance m.key equals hello. Instance save find. Notes.find object and then callback. Here docs. Maybe I'll just do docs. So I feel like I'm getting closer. Nope. Docs.forEach. I'm not getting any result for docs. Alright, I'm gonna pause this until I figure it out. Okay, so I managed to get something working. I had to look up a tutorial, but I'm not sure the tutorial that this guy had really did anything. What I realized was I got rid of the ID, and when I did that I realized I had the number for my data type for the text property. So I think that might have been throwing all those errors or keeping anything from actually showing. So now I just have everything in the file, and it's creating. So I moved the model information to the main file. He had it all in the main file in his tutorial, so I figured that would be a good start. So I'm creating the schema here. Creating it here, storing it here, creating the notes model here as well, and then I'm inserting an object by storing the JSON here, the markup here for the data, and then you create the instance. So when you're creating an instance is what you use to insert data. I think I tried to do that before. I didn't understand what the purpose of it was. So when you create a new instance of your model, you can pass in the data that it will bind to the object, and then when you do the instance.save method, it inserts that into your collection. I'm guessing the collection is here. This is how you specify that. But anyway, then I'm getting the objects, and this is the method he used. And I'm just logging the information to the console. I wonder if I can do table. No, I can't. Anyway, I'm not gonna start messing around. So you can see all the previous rows I had. However, it's also adding the new text, the hello again, and now I have some text just to indicate this is just a framework for how it should look. And let me try the old method as well for finding information, which was all gonna get all text that is equal to hello again. See, none of this was working before because I had the wrong data type passed in. It was just outright ignoring it, and I was seriously starting to question if it was a connection issue, which I did go over it again. So the MongoDB is required. Localhost does work. The port is not required to specify. It by default uses the 271 whatever that is. by default is 27017. So there's no need to change that, it seems. And this is the name of the database. So it's not a connection issue. I was doing that much right. Now, I'm going to do a find function that's going to get the results on a match. So let's not indicate which field we're going to get, and let's only pass in document. Here, let's try error to see if that was an actual error I was having. And we'll console.log doc as well. Okay. It looks like this is their separate collection here. So that is working, that much is working. I can comment it out. Let's stop adding stuff to it. There. So that's working. It's retrieving all of the data. And maybe we can just copy this as well and get all of our text data. And we'll also hide that. And so it always returns this ID, but it is ignoring this V thing there. So yeah, okay. So this is now working. I think I'm going to move this to a documentation file. But just to show that. Alrighty. Store that in there. Now I do need the connection information. I'm going to keep this here. I'll just do that. Now I don't know if I need any of this stuff here. This was nonsense. Let's keep the. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get this working again. And you can see here was my mistake. I had the string, number and string mixed up. So I want them just in the order that they would appear. Right. And I did the rest of that okay, I think. This is the notes schema. We're going to do the same thing as before. Mongoose. Model. Going to create our model. Notes from notes schema. Create MongoDB collection with schema. Yeah, it's not actually doing that. It's not creating the collection, it's creating the model. So require that, yeah. Now I want to see if I can include it or require it and it'll work. I don't think I got an error when I did this, but okay. That's the model. And now let's do the find. Notes.find. Okay. Notes is not defined. libcollection.js. How would I do that? Okay, so this works, but can I only have it here? Will that work? Is the question I have. No, notes is not defined. Okay. I guess I'll just do this.